The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com, that's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. This is Neil Himmelstein. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. When we talk about code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. We are advisors to hundreds of financial advisors across the country in the areas of life insurance, long-term care, annuities, and disability products. In our past episodes, we talked about a current, an income, guaranteed income for life that you can't outlive using annuities. We also talked about income, tax-free income you can use from life insurance. We talked about life insurance with living benefits such as long-term care and critical illness and income protection. We talked about several income protection products, which is commonly known as disability insurance. And we explored last week about long-term care and the different types of long-term care and how to protect yourself. And we talked about standalone long-term care, which was the traditional way of buying long-term care insurance. If you're considering purchasing long-term care insurance needs today, I would advise you do so. We are down to one carrier in New York and only a couple standalone carriers outside of New York, which means most likely they've already filed for raising prices and everything else. So the time to buy it and the time to plan is now. It is an impending disaster for your families, both financially and emotionally. 70% of all people will need long-term care after the age of 65. That means they can't perform 2 out of 6 activities of daily living. The other 30% of us will be paying for it. Well, there's a lot in the news today about tax changes, both in New York State and federally. And I wanted to give you the up-to-minute proposals that the federal government is making and how it impacts your planning and your life and what you should be considering and looking at. First off, New York State recently approved recreational cannabis. Now, what does that mean for New York State? That means that they are going to have a major tax recovery from the sale of pot. In addition, they made online sports betting, gambling legal in the state of New York, which will also bring in tremendous tax revenues. On the federal level, there's many, many proposals out there. Joe Biden just released the American Family Act 2 days ago. And I want to go through some of the things that are being proposed. It's not to say necessarily that they're going to be done, but they can affect you greatly in your planning. So, one of the things that was not in the American Family Act, but that is on the hot button that we thought was going to be proposed immediately, is a changing in the estate tax exemption. That's what's going to be taxed after you die. It was around $10 million, and the proposals that were coming in, I know Bernie Sanders had proposed it go down to $3.5 million per person as an exemption that would not be taxed going to the next generation. Now, that did not come up. However, the current taxation of the estate tax is sunsetting in 2026. That's 5 years from now. We think that will come back up. We think they're going to settle in around $5 million, but that's a significant change. Also, one of the proposals is the decoupling of the estate tax and the gift taxes. Currently, you can gift so much per person every year, or you can do a one-time gift of, let's say, $10 million per person. So they're going to change that purportedly to make it $1 million lifetime gift as opposed to the $10 million on the gifting side, even if they don't change the estate tax. That is not currently on the board right now. They're also talking about a maximum tax rate of 45% of transfers. And the one thing that is hot on the table is a potential elimination of step-up in basis on death. This is very critical. Okay, if you have a large gain in real estate, or you're about to inherit a lot of real estate, they're going to go back to the cost basis of that house, even if it's not sold. Let's say grandpa and grandma have lived in a house, they paid $40,000 for it. It's now worth $1 million. That will be a capital gains tax due within 9 months of death if this goes through. This could affect the middle class as well as the upper class greatly in a big tax. Another area of taxation that the government is looking at is, we know they're looking to raise the maximum tax rate when people making over $400,000. That's in the process. New York State has already done something, and we're going to talk about that. But over $400,000, they're looking to raise the regular tax rate. And the biggest taxes that will affect people is capital gains rates, especially the wealthy. They want to tax, gains that you make in the stock market. Currently, I just attended a seminar on cryptocurrency, and every transaction is being taxed. The government is trying to track that and regulate it, even though it's an unregulated product. So what does that mean to you as a person that's doing planning? Well, what it means is, the other thing that we had also mentioned in previous meetings is they had something last year pre-COVID called the Secure Act, which is trying to hasten the taxation of IRAs and 401ks. The government has come out with huge spending plans. They need to find a way to pay for those spending plans, as well as this humongous debt that we're in. So all these tax things are real. What it's all going to final out to, we don't know. They could come back and claw back to 2021, the beginning of 2021. So the idea is, if you need to do gifting and you need to make transfers, you need to do your planning now with an estate planner, with us. You can reach us at 631-647-4694. My name is Neil Himmelstein, but you can reach us, or we can refer you to an estate planner, or your financial planner should be talking about this. I know a lot of you are going through and doing your taxes now, and getting your taxes done today is fine, but looking at your taxes next year and in the future, you really need to make some plans, not just in your income tax, but potential estate tax and capital gains tax, 1031 exchanges. They're also looking to tax and possibly eliminate a good deal of 1031 exchanges. For those of you who don't know, a 1031 exchange is when you have a business or a property that's appreciated, and you've been able to roll that into another property without paying any tax. They are now, if there's gain over $500,000, going to start taxing that. So if you're in that situation where you need to sell something, now's the time to think about charitable giving. There's some really great charitable ways of moving assets, and I'm going to discuss that after the break. My name is Neil Himmelstein. I'm with Main Street Planning Group. My show is the Code for Main Street Code for Financial Success. That's choice, organization, direction, and education. You can catch me on mainstreetplanninggroup.com, where you'll see YouTube videos on many different topics, as well as reach me at 631-647-4694. My name is Neil Himmelstein. Thank you. Welcome back. This is Neil Himmelstein. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. Our code is choice, organization, direction, and education. If you just are joining us, we were talking about all the federal estate tax proposals, up to the minute proposals that were made this week in Joe Biden's new family plan, and a lot of it refers to taxes and taxation, as well as family tax credits. Some of the big areas that they're looking at is the federal estate and gift taxes and debundling gift taxes and estate taxes. The federal government is also looking at an elimination of step-up in basis at death. And what does that mean? If you inherit a house and let's say your parents or grandparents paid $100,000 for it, and it's now worth $1 million, there will be a capital gains tax on $900,000. Or mutual funds and stocks that haven't paid any gains on transfer, they're looking to tax the gains, as well as be part of your estate tax, which there's two estate taxes. There's the federal government estate tax, and there's the New York State estate tax. Currently, New York State, and we could talk about other states, matches the estate limits. It's been in the past, they haven't always matched it. New York State, we think, may potentially go down to $1 million of assets, unlike $10 million that the federal government's at. The New York State maximum tax rate on estates over $10 million currently is going from 16% to 20%. That's a big jump. Plus the federal estate tax, they're not looking to increase the tax amount on federal estate. What they're looking to do is take it from $10 million, and some of the proposals are down to $3.5 million. And again, that's all under discussion. We think it's going to settle out at $5 million, but even if they don't address that now, the current $10 million sunsets at 2026, where it goes back down to $5 million. Listen, the government has big plans on spending, on infrastructure, on healthcare, and lots of different things. And all these things require money, and the money is derived from revenue, and revenue is derived from taxes. So how does that all play in? We're going to go into that in a little more depth. One of the things that you can do with your IRAs or with other assets is you can give them to charity. Now, I've talked in the past about IRAs and 401ks, and they're great for accumulating assets. The government with the Secure Act is going to force, in most situations, that be distributed, except to a spouse, to the next generation over 10 years. Now, they're subject to estate tax, and they're subject to income tax since you've taken income tax deductions to accumulate it. So that double taxation of that accumulated wealth you have in your 401k has to be figured out and spent while you're in retirement, or it will be so taxed that you will not be able to leave it behind. It's the worst asset to have to die with. It's a great asset to accumulate, but it's meant for your spending in retirement. And we have spending plans that can help you. And with all this taxation and everything that we're talking about, there is one protected product in the freaking universe that avoids all capital gains. Okay? You could take out money tax-free, and if you die with it, it's a tax-free death benefit. And if you put it inside what they call a life insurance trust, which is specifically designed for life insurance, it is estate tax-free as well. Life insurance is the product. It is 100% protected. It is creditor-proof. It is tax-proof. It can go tax-free. And as we are accumulating and distributing and leaving behind a legacy, it is the number one best asset, or as my investment people like to say, return on your investment that you can make. So I would say if you can buy it early, buy it while you're healthy, buy it while you're young, accumulate the assets. Now, if you have not set up a life insurance trust, okay, or if you have set up a life insurance trust, make sure your life insurance is inside your trust. If it's outside your trust, it is part of the death benefit. If you bought $1 million policy or $5 million policy or $100,000, is part of your estate and can be taxed. People don't realize, well, it's tax-free. Yes, it is federal tax-free. However, it is part of your estate unless you secure an irrevocable life insurance trust. Now, a lot of people don't want to put tons of money in their life insurance trust. Okay, they don't want to tie up their money. There are ways, even with a life insurance trust, that you can have what they call spousal or children asset access if it's needed, and still keep this money out of taxation, the government's hands. It's very technical, very interesting strategies. We can do that with you with an estate attorney and design that properly. One of the other great strategies that I started to talk about was regarding charitable giving. Now, if you have very much appreciated property, what a lot of real estate investors have done over the years is they've made something called 1031 exchanges. 1031 exchanges, I had someone describe to me, is swap till you drop. Well, guess what? The problem is when you drop, it's all state taxable, okay? And now with the new laws in place, the inheritance of that, you'll have to pay capital gains on that, okay? So the step up in basis will occur on transfer, not even if you sell it. That's a huge deal if you're a real estate investor. Huge deal. So one of the things you can do if you have highly valued real estate is you can set up what they call a charitable remainder trust. So if you have a potential huge gain on a property, or on stock, by the way, a huge gain, you don't want to sell it because you don't want to pay the tax on it or the capital gains, which is going to be increasing. Okay, one of the things you can do is you can set up a charitable remainder trust where the charity actually sells it in a 0% tax bracket. You go, yeah, but I'm giving the asset up. Well, not 100%. The remainder interest, it's about 15%, actuarially, that the charity will get, sits in a pot of money that you can either create an annuity, they call it a charitable annuity, okay, where you can draw income, which is tax favored because you have a charitable deduction in there. So I've sold something in the charity at 0%, didn't pay capital gains. I now take a tax favored income, and with that income, if you wanted your heirs to get the value of that property, you can buy significant amount of life insurance and replace it. And if you put it inside a life insurance trust, estate tax free. So I can take $1 million gain and that I did in my property and completely put it in cash in a life insurance policy and put it inside a life insurance trust and give that money to my heirs 100% estate tax free and enjoy all those gains. It's an amazing, amazing tool. And there are lots of amazing tools you can do if you plan properly and know what you're doing. Now, if you had the fortitude and the right idea to set up these trusts and they haven't been reviewed, or your policies aren't in the trust, all these things, or your life insurance policy is not performing, or, everything else, you have to review your plans on a consistent basis. And if your advisor needs help in that, that's what we do. This is Neil Himmelstein. You've been listening to The Code, the Main Street Code for Financial Success, where we offer choice, organization, direction, and education. And I hope you enjoyed our show today and have a terrific weekend. Thanks again, Neil Himmelstein. 631-647-4694, mainstreetplanninggroup.com. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.